No, I just realized.
Welcome to the
nervous.
2016 town elections debate here in Southbridge. We want to commend you citizens for tuning in or for watching in these weeks up to the election. We thank you for your due diligence and your desire to really help the town choose its next group of leaders. So we thank you for tuning in, and we desire that this would be an informative time for you. We're happy to have the three school committee candidates with us to get to introduce themselves and maybe tell you something about what they have planned, hopes for the school year. Big issue, obviously, in our town. And we have 5 of the 6 town council candidates here now. Maybe the 6th will show up. It's a fairly rowdy bunch. We expect to have some fun with them tonight. But at any rate, we definitely want to present to you the candidates for the election so you'll get to know them. And we thank you very much for attending and for watching. And we extend her welcome and introduce our moderator. Here is Amelia Peliquin, Chair of the Democratic Town Committee.
Thank you so much, Bob. And just to repeat a couple of things Bob said, I'm so pleased that you all took time out of your busy lives to come here this evening. Voting in local elections is one of the most important things you can do as a citizen of this community, and the fact that you're taking this evening to educate yourselves to make the right choice about who should be the future leaders of our town is something I'm very proud of, and I'm so pleased that you are here with me tonight, either in person or watching along at home. So I'll get things started by introducing our moderator. His name is Victor Soma. Victor Soma has been a college administrator for over 25 years. He has been with Quinsigamond Community College for 17 years and is currently serving as Assistant Vice President of Extended Campuses Operations and Community Engagement. Prior to his career in higher education, he taught high school English, journalism, and theater. He worked for 2 Fortune 500 companies, American International Group and the Chubb Corporation, as Director of Education and Training and Compliance Auditor, respectively. He also served a number of years as administrator and professor for the New Hampshire Community College System. He was editor-in-chief of the New Hampshire Law Weekly and the Quarterly Bar Journal for the New Hampshire Bar Association and the New Hampshire Superior Court Systems. For 12 years, he served as an adjunct professor in the MBA program at Southern New Hampshire University and has taught at a number of other colleges and universities as well. He is currently teaching in the Saturday College Accelerated Business Program at Bay Path University. Please join me in welcoming Victor Soma.
Had to get this stool set up because I broke my ankle, unfortunately. My advice, don't break your ankle, it's not fun. Welcome, everybody. One thing that I want to say, it's good to be in charge. So I get to be in charge tonight, and hopefully we'll have a great debate. So let's get started here. I welcome all of you to the Town Council election debate for 2016. We have a couple of things we want to get to. One of the first things we're going to do is to introduce the 3 school committee members that are here. They're all running unopposed. The debate committee felt it appropriate to give them a forum tonight to have them say a few words about what they expect to be doing in the next years coming on the school committee. So we will start tonight with Co.
Thank you. I just want to start by saying, giving thanks to the Democratic and Republican town committees for hosting this event and giving us an opportunity to introduce ourselves. My name's Ko Wang. I'm running for a school committee, and I'm not going to take a whole lot of time. I'm just going to say a little bit about who I am and why I'm running. And my family and I are from Taiwan. We're first-generation immigrants, and we became citizens in 2001 and moved to Massachusetts in 2005. But I'm actually kind of a newcomer to Southbridge. I've only lived here for 2 years. I currently work at the Department of Developmental Services, and I come from a background of working with people with special needs. My sister has cerebral palsy, so yeah. So you might be wondering why I'm running, considering I've only lived here for a little bit, and I don't have any kids. So why get involved in the school committee? And pretty much I've always been politically aware, but I've never really engaged in the process. So I thought it would be a good idea hearing about all the recent turmoil that the Southbridge School District has been going through, as well as, I guess, the state's schools in general. And it seemed like a good point to jump in. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff that can be accomplished even though we've been placed in a receivership. Obviously, the school committee doesn't technically have powers while the receiver is in office, but I feel like we can still be a point of contact between the community and the receiver and kind of advise in that position. Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you, Co. Tanya, you're next.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is Tanya Duvall, and I'm running for the school committee, and I welcome the opportunity to be here. I am an enemy of Southbridge because I graduated from Bartlett. However, Southbridge is my hometown now, and I've grown to love the town and everything, and I want to do everything I can to help them achieve what they need to do. Many times every week, I pass the sign saying Southbridge, the eye of the Commonwealth. And I think, what do outsiders think of this? To me, it is a sign of signifying pride. And past history bears this out. Today, we're proud to be number one. Today, pride is taking sort of a back seat to indifference. I see families selling their homes and moving to districts they feel are better equipped to educate their children. I have family members who have done this. In fact, this bothers me, and it should bother you also. In the education aspect of the town, this eye has been blackened. It is in receivership. The Worcester Telegram recently reported that the school district had a woeful retention of administrators, 35 transitions involving 43 people in 9 central office jobs in recent years. Why this has happened is past history and water over the dam. Last night I had the opportunity to talk to one of the teachers here in Southbridge, and that is one of the biggest concerns she has about steadiness, being steady in the job. She loves the job, and she doesn't want to leave, but she didn't like the idea that there was so much turnover. Today, our town school district is under the control of Dr. Jessica Huizinga. As a school committee member, I have to go along with what she deems best. And to be honest, I feel she is doing a beautiful job. I have attended a few of the functions she has been involved in and am impressed. I have expressed to her privately how I was disappointed that there seems to be a lack of interest by the public in supporting the school committee's efforts. The last meeting saw me sitting alone in the audience. Dr. Huizinga has put together an exemplary group of team leaders. It now becomes the matter of pride. My chief concern now is the children and their parents and families. Children, by law, have to be educated until they reach 16. Instilling pride in them translates to this pride rubbing off on parents and families, and this is the biggest and best way to get out of the receivership program. Volunteerism by parents, teachers, and concerned public to have the children eager and anxious to participate in activities is warranted. For the older kids, they have sports besides football, basketball, and baseball, which are mainly manly games. Let's get the ladies more involved in sports also. It is in the lower grades that we need to implement pride also. Music is the biggest common denominator around the world. Let us get the younger children interested in the arts. Show choirs can be implemented in the lower middle school age people. This will translate into, possibly into being used in the higher schools. Every activity, whether sports or the arts, would have to be dependent on grades and attitude. The I envision is hitting the bullseye. People attend town meetings, give your input. Remember, though, the goal is to educate the children first and foremost. Let's work together to get Southbridge to be the true eye of the Commonwealth. Thank you.
You're welcome. Amelia.
Thank you very much. I didn't really prepare formal remarks this evening. I was just going to kind of go over my bio and then a couple of points on my platform and leave it at that. So let's get started. I chose my hometown of Southbridge to buy a house and start a family. Along with my husband, Seth, of 9 years, I'm raising 2 beloved children here in Southbridge. I send my children to the Southbridge Public Schools, and I'm currently serving on the Southbridge School Committee. My life in politics began in 2011 when Tea Party-affiliated groups launched a voter intimidation campaign targeting Southbridge's Hispanic population. As a fourth-generation Southbridge resident, I was disgusted by the cynical attempt at undermining democracy. My town has a long and proud history of embracing immigrant populations and helping them achieve the American dream. I fought back, taking a stand for voters' rights and against any and all voter intimidation, and I was honored by this work, by the ACLU of Massachusetts, who presented me with a Defender of Civil Liberties Award. In 2012, I was elected to the Southbridge Town Council. I served a 3-year term during which I successfully fought a major expansion to the municipal landfill. In 2015, I transitioned to the Southbridge School Committee, and I worked to stop a proposed charter school from opening at a local museum. I'm the chairwoman of the Southbridge Democratic Town Committee and a member of the Democratic State Committee as well. I hold a bachelor's degree from Smith College, and my professional experience includes regional work for public libraries and interactive media agencies. I'm a member of the LGBT community and the first openly bipolar elected official in Massachusetts. And just to tell you a little bit more about my priorities for working on the school committee, I wanted to go through my platform. And if I go through this too quickly, you can follow all of this information is online at ameliaforsouthbridge.com, and I definitely encourage you to check out my website. But my first priority on the school committee is classroom investment. I believe the challenge for public schools is to maximize and optimize dollars spent in the classroom. That means teachers, supplies, and programs for students. I will fight to secure as much funding as possible from local, state, and federal sources for our children, because I believe educating children is the most important thing we do here in Southbridge. My other big priority is ESL. Southbridge has a proud immigrant history. Our town has welcomed waves of immigrants and has been a place where they could assimilate and become fellow Americans. We have a moral imperative as well as a legal mandate to provide sufficient English as a second language programs to all students in need of it. I will fight to fully fund these programs and to administer them in the most effective way. My next priority is less testing and more learning. Testing is important. We need to assess our children's educational progress. However, student testing has become a pathological process in our state. We spend an entire month on MCAS and other testing. We need to test smarter. We need to test less and teach more. The other thing I do as a member of the Southbridge School Committee is I spend a lot of time defending public education. And I do this because public education works. Unfortunately, there are those who would undermine and destroy its ability to function for our students. And I am talking particularly about the ballot question upcoming this fall to get rid of the cap on charter schools in Massachusetts. This would be incredibly detrimental to the Southbridge public school system. If you think our school choices bill is bad now, just wait until they open a charter school in the area. We are going to lose an incredible amount of funding, and we need to fight this. I will fight any attempt to divert public education dollars away from our public school system, because that's where they're needed the most. The other thing I want to prioritize in my term as the school committee member is after-school programs. Our public school system is about more than academic education. It is a place where children become a part of our community. It's also a place where serious issues facing our children are revealed. We have a duty to assist children with wraparound services, from medical attention to after-school supervision. If we fail to address the big picture facing our students, we will fail as a school system and as a community. So I encourage you all to support my campaign in any way you can. I will be knocking on doors between now and June 28th, so if you've ever voted in a municipal election, I look forward to talking to you at your door. If you're interested in a lawn sign, please shoot me a text or give me a phone call to 413-695-5289 with your address, and I'll make sure one is delivered to your house. And again, my number is 413-695-5289. And one more time, my name is Amelia Peliquin, and I encourage you to vote for me on June 28th. Thank you very much.
Thank you all, and all the best. All right, now to our debate. A couple of housekeeping items that I want to go through first. Some very basic rules for debating. One thing I'm going to ask the audience to please help me out here, to not do any applauding or any outbursts or comments or anything of that nature until all of the closing statements are done. I would appreciate that very much. Our debate is structured on a round robin, giving each candidate a chance to address each topical question, and hopefully they'll answer quite well. There's no back and forth discourse allowed. Each candidate will be allowed a 3-minute opening statement. After each, the questioning will begin thereafter. So let's start with Monique.
Hi, thank you. My name is Monique Manna, and currently I am a sitting councilor. I'm up for re-election after 3 years. It's been wonderful serving these last 3 years. I live on Maple Street for the last 11 years and 1 month. I've been a member of the Southbridge community on and off for the last 15 years, however. And although I'm not a native of Southbridge, my mother was a native of Southbridge, and I do consider Southbridge really my home too. As a child, I remember I have very fond memories of coming to Southbridge on the weekends to visit my grandparents. My mother would shop at Big Bunny. I remember her shopping downtown at the stores for our school clothes and our school shoes. I'm married to David Manna, and I have 6 children, and I have 1 grandchild. She's out in Kansas. I wish I could see her more. Thank goodness for technology and Skype, though. I'm an executive assistant at a company called Beyond Booksmart. I work full-time there. I just completed my associate's degree at Quinsigamond Community College in liberal arts, and I graduated with highest honors, and I am a member of the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. I am currently enrolled at Worcester State University. I will start in the fall, and my major is history, and I declared a minor in pre-law. And after I complete my bachelor's, I will continue on with my education. I'm unsure if I'm going to go for a master's or a Juris Doctor. I'm leaning more towards law school, however. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael, go ahead.
All right, thank you. First, I'd like to thank everyone responsible for putting on this show. I sincerely appreciate being invited to participate. I have lived in Southbridge for more than 30 years. I came here for a job at CPC Engineering in Sturbridge, where I was a heavy equipment rigger. While employed there, I lost my right eye in an industrial accident. As a result of my insurance settlement, I was able to retrain in commercial arts at Quinsigamond Community College. I was employed at the Southbridge Evening News for 14 years. Some of you may remember me as the cartoonist. Today I work for a company in Worcester, filming rare books and newspapers for the internet. I also produce and host a TV show called Straight Up on Southbridge, which appears on the Southbridge and Worcester cable stations and on YouTube. I met and married a lifelong Southbridge resident, Maureen Gibo. We have just celebrated our 23rd wedding anniversary. My main campaign issue can be summed up in 3 words: dump the dump. If elected, I will oppose any expansion of the Southbridge landfill, either vertically by letting the garbage and trash pile grow higher, or horizontally by adding more acreage for dumping. I will also support closing the existing landfill as soon as possible. Now, whether the landfill closes tomorrow, next month, or next year when it's full, eventually it will close. The town needs a plan for replacing the landfill royalty payments to the town's operating budget. Right now, the town has no such plan. I think we will have the resources to cover the loss of landfill royalties, and we can do it without laying off a single town employee. Developing a plan is the responsibility of the council. If elected, my first priority will be to forge a consensus with other council members to create a workable plan. The town also has several other problems which must be addressed. Almost every street and road in town needs repair. We need a capital improvement plan to fix our roads. The current unemployment rate in Southbridge is 6.8%, the highest in the region. As taxpayers, we pay for a town economic development department. I think their mission needs to focus on job creation, and I also believe they should be held accountable for results. I have called for town officials to show more respect for the concerns of residents. We all saw what happened to Erin Cummings Lapriori, who was cursed at by a member of the Board of Health in front of her children. Such treatment has no place at public events run by town representatives. Respect for the residents starts at the top, and so does their arrogance towards them. Some town officials need an attitude adjustment. That concludes my opening remarks. Thank you.
Wallace.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the Democratic and Republican Committee for allowing us to come here this evening to introduce ourselves to the citizens of Southbridge. Secondly, I'd like to share with you, with the voters, a little bit of who I am. I was raised in Schenectady, New York, and upon graduation from high school, I joined the Naval Reserve. Later, after being honorably discharged, I moved to New York City to find work. While working at J.C. Penney Company in their home office in Manhattan, I attended Borough Manhattan Community College. Years later, while working for the United States Postal Service, I attended the New York School of the Bible and Bethel Seminary of the East. At the age of 60, I became a full-time missionary and served 4.5 years in Jamaica, West Indies. In 2008, as my tour of service in Jamaica was coming to an end, I was invited by Pastor Gary George to come here to Southbridge and serve at Sovereign Grace Chapel, where I have served as a deacon for the past 8 years. I have an 18-year-old adopted son whom I'm very proud of and who is a real blessing to me. I also met the love of my life here in Southbridge, and she is here tonight to support me along with my son. As I've lived here for 8.5 years, I've truly come to love this town. I know that Southbridge gets a bad rap. However, I don't think that many people understand what a wonderful town Southbridge really has compared to many other towns. While I know that there are a few kinks that need to be ironed out overall, I believe that Southbridge is truly a great place to live and full of potential. During my brief time living here, I've already had some impact on Southbridge as I spearheaded the skate park as a member of the town's recreation committee. I've also served a 1-year term as a member of the Planning and Development Subcommittee. In addition, I've also started, along with other church leaders, Solid Rock Youth Ministry, which is a Christian outreach to the youth in Southbridge and surrounding towns. As I stated earlier, I truly love this town, and I would not consider running for town council if I didn't believe that I could have a positive impact on this town. Here's a few attributes that I would bring to the office. I am extremely well organized. I'm a stickler for detail regarding financial spending. I think out very carefully and research things thoroughly to get a true understanding of issues. I ascribe to the theory, where there's a will, there's a way. I'm extremely diligent and persistent in every task I undertake. As a single parent, I have learned the art of multitasking. I don't give up I seek to show respect and kindness to others even if I disagree with them, and I consider myself to be a man of good character and integrity. Thank you.
Michael.
Hi, my name is Mike James. First, I'd like to thank the Democrat and Republican committees and their volunteers who have worked hard to provide this service for the community. I'd also like to thank the Southbridge Cable Access and their volunteers as well. I was born in California. I moved to Massachusetts when my work wanted to open a new distribution center in this state. After a few years of working as operations manager for the distribution center, my entrepreneurial spirit took hold and I opened a brick and mortar store in Worcester. After a few years, that business morphed into an online sales store. Most recently, I have started a web design business. Shortly after moving to Southbridge, I started to take an interest in town politics. I also wanted to get involved in partisan politics. But what I found was a defunct RTC. I joined with a group of other people who wanted to see an active RTC, and we ended up joining the two groups together and reorganizing. Now it's an active group, it's an active committee that meets every month, and I am the chair of that committee. A few years ago, I was talking to Butch McDonald, who then chaired the DTC. We recognized that our national views were very different, but when it came to local politics, we had tremendous common ground. One area we found that we both had a similar interest in was providing a forum to showcase candidates to the public. Debates had been previously provided by Ion Southbridge. If those guys, John Gaddy, the late Larry Bynema, Mark Karen, and Scott Lazo haven't been thanked enough for their programs, then I would like to extend a hearty thanks to them now. I love that show, especially the special edition. Unfortunately, Ion Southbridge was in a lull, so Butch suggested our committees jointly conduct a debate. I took the idea back to my committee, and they were all for it. Our committees have continued the tradition ever since, and I'd really like to highlight the efforts of Bob Cherninsky, who has been the driving force to make sure that we're all here tonight. On the town government side of politics, I have spent 1 year on the EHS subcommittee, 3 years on the general government subcommittee, and 1 year on the PPP subcommittee. In addition to those subcommittees, I've also spent the last 3 years on the bicentennial committee. My most visible efforts there would be chairing the social media subcommittee, where I've been responsible for the Southbridge200.org website, and for heading up the Bicentennial Festival that followed up the parade. I believe that I can bring to the table an alternative viewpoint to solving problems. Mine is a no-nonsense approach that tries to get to the real root of the problem without insulting or disrespecting those who have a different opinion. By finding common ground through a willingness to listen and understand other perspectives and opinions, one can usually find workable compromises. Southbridge has a very real problem, and it's going to take a lot of work to get us out of the hole we find ourselves in. Thank you.
Paul?
Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Zotos, and I'm running for town council. I'd like to thank the committee for having this show. I spent 15 years running this station up here, and I know how hard it is, and I know what it means to volunteer. And I just want to thank you all for doing a good job. I watch all the shows, and I really like what they're doing. I'm glad it's being carried on. I was born and raised here in Southbridge, and for 10 years, I spent the 70s with my brothers in a band that we played at all the colleges in New England. We performed at over 350 colleges in New England, all the colleges from Quinsigamond to MIT, Harvard, Wellesley, Brandeis, every great school in New England we played at for 10 years. After that career, I moved to California, and I ran a world-famous health club in Beverly Hills called Jane Fonda's Workout. I ran that club for about 8 years, and I got in shape, believe it or not. And then I switched over to Barnes & Noble, and I ran a Barnes & Noble just like the one in Millbury. I ran one in Beverly Hills for another 8 years. And then we had a little thing called the LA Riot, and I thought it was time to come home. So when I came back to Southbridge, I noticed that they needed some help up here at the TV station, so we helped build this studio. And I was on the cable committee. I served on the cable committee for 3 years, and we voted to build this studio. And then I took the job running the station for a number of years, everybody knows. Now I'm retired, and I'm still making movies. Recently, I filmed the parade. It'll come on maybe in about a month. Last week I was in Lowell, and I filmed the Democratic Committee in Lowell, and I've got all the big speeches and the big crowds up at Lowell. It was very nice. And I filmed Father Charlie's 50th anniversary last week. That's coming up this summer on TV. So I'm still working as a volunteer for cable, and I'm still putting movies on the air, and I haven't missed a meeting in over 15 years. I've worked with just about everybody in the town hall in one form or another. I've made movies with just about everybody in the audience, and I've worked with almost everybody up here at the podium. And so I've proved I can get along with people on both sides of the aisles. I've worked with the Democrats, I've worked with the Republicans, and I've worked with a lot of people in Southbridge that don't vote. And it really disappoints me that there's people in this town that are proud that they don't vote. And, you know, I'm trying to get people a little more involved in town government. I'm trying to explain that there is a future in Southbridge, but we got to get involved. We got to get this town hall filled on meeting nights. A lot of times, you know, the politicians are the only ones in the audience. So, and when I put the TV on and saw that there was only 6 councilors, I decided to run one more time and give it another shot. You know, it seemed we were missing 3 councilors, and it looked like there was another opportunity to run. So I've decided to run, and I'm running, and please vote for me, June 28th.
Hi, Mark, welcome, please.
Thank you so much. I apologize for my tardiness, work-related. I appreciate the opportunity to join you folks in this forum and everybody that put it together. Thank you so much. If you haven't noticed the red, white, and green signs floating around the town, Mark DePietro, and I'm running for town council. I was born and raised in Southbridge, currently reside here. I own and operate 3 different entities, most notably D&D Welding and Salvage Corporation, which my father established in 1965. That's kind of my little brand name, I guess. That's what everybody knows me by. The town has been super to us, and I really appreciate it. And my whole point to even considering running for council is to maybe give a little something back to the town. We've tried to do that over the years with donations to Parks and Recreation, crazy little things that you know, the highway department couldn't find the funds for. We just kind of snuck in and made it happen. And I consider this just a little bit more of that. I mean, the town council position is obviously unpaid. It's a thankless job from what I understand and what I see, from what I watch. These folks go through that are on council every day, but it's an important job. I've been, again, I'm a resident of Southbridge, my wife Eve, and 4 children. We've been here forever. I have a vested interest in the town and love to see it succeed. And on the council end, and it's kind of funny, and I will mention, I obviously did as much preparation as I could, take a peek, and I looked at some of these forums that folks have done in the past, and nobody really ever came up with what is the definition of the purview, the limits or responsibilities of the town councilor. And I went through it. And really, you see all the rhetoric and the things in the paper and so forth, but a town councilor is in charge of budgets, is in charge of the monies, is in charge of allocating different assets for fire, police, safety, all of this. But that's pretty much where the limits are. I mean, I obviously approving appointments of administrators.
I'm going to have to cut you off. You only had 3 minutes, and I'm going to have to cut you off right now.
But you're not fun.
I know. But it's good to be in charge. All right, let's get going with the questions, but I do want to remind the candidates, as you saw, the red light did go on. I didn't cut you off immediately. That was the longest, and I had to cut you off. But I want to remind you of our traffic lights. When you see that red light, I will cut you off. Please pay attention to that light. I will just simply, as soon as that light goes on, I'm going to cut you off. So pay attention, all right? Okay. If we're all ready to go, here comes the first question. The way we're going to do this is the first responder will have 2 minutes. All the rest will have 1, and it will go around. Each of them will have 2 minutes for each of the questions that they get as we go around. All right? So, Mark, the first question, you'll have 2 minutes. Watch the lights. Okay? All right. First question. What is your fiscal approach? Please speak to us about your ideas regarding the town budget.
We're getting a town budget. Town budget, I think, should be approached as with any other business. We look at the previous year, obviously. From what I understand, and again, I'm a newcomer here, each department would put in their requirements for the year. And then from there, you'd have to decide where are your priorities. Now, obviously, safety, fire, police, ambulance. From there goes water, sewer, landfill, which I'm sure is going to be a question here sooner or later, which has to be picked up. From there, infrastructure, towns, roads, parks, recreation, school system, obviously. And whatever you have left over, I would hope, would be put towards whatever goals that the committee would come up with, which I'm sure there's a gazillion. I mean, there's so many repairs, so many different, from seniors to children to this to that we could put it into. You know what's left. So this is all a matter of, from what I imagine, from what I understand. Again, I'm a newcomer. We have subcommittees for this, which I would hope to be a part of some. And but the infrastructure, health, safety, roads have to come first, and we see what we have left, and then we try appropriate from there. State funding.
Thank you, Monique.
Thank you, Victor. My approach to the town budget is, first of all, we have to be fiscally responsible. And by that, it's not only keeping your taxes low, which we all love to do, but we also have to ensure that the departments have the equipment they need to do the job. If we don't provide the departments that the money that they need to do the job correctly, the job won't get done correctly, and then we end up spending more. It's going to cost the taxpayers more. We have to invest in our community. We have to listen to the department heads. They know what they need in their departments. We have to research. If we have questions, we need to ask the questions. We need to research the issues. The safety of our community is top priority. Our schools, we have to ensure that the schools get the money that they need. The children are our future, of course. We just have to be fiscally responsible in many, many ways, and that just doesn't mean saving the taxpayers' money or not raising taxes. I want to save the taxpayers' money, but we have to be fiscally responsible in other ways too, so we don't cost the taxpayers more money down the road.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, I'm a fiscal conservative. I don't like paying taxes any more than the next guy, but I do realize that the town provides vital services to the residents, and as taxpayers, we have to pay for those services. However, I would like to talk a little bit about the budget that was recently presented. I read it over. It took me about 4 times to read it over. I printed it out. It's over 2 inches thick. It contained thousands of line items on town expenditures. Now, some residents have called for the budget to be printed out in a summarized form, sort of an annual town budget, and presented to the taxpayers so they can read it and see how their money is being spent. And I think that's a good idea. It would make it more transparent for the residents. And maybe the town can produce an executive summary that accompanies the budget for the future. That would make it easier for the residents to see how their money's being spent and make it more transparent. Thank you.
Thank you. Wallace.
As laid out by our new town manager and his staff, we need to be financially responsible. Understanding the difference between annually generated income and free money and how to best utilize it. We need to also realize that our fire department, our police department, our ambulance services, schools, and DPW must be the priority. However, there are other areas, and each department will very carefully itemize their needs and then be scrutinized by the town council. We have a definite responsibility to guide and to direct and to assist all departments in planning out their budgets. I would wish that we would look at the fire department more. Right now, they're having difficulty getting all of their trucks into their bays. That, to me, is kind of a priority. Thank you.
Michael.
I'm a fiscal conservative. I don't want to raise the tax levy. I know this is going to be a challenge with the closing of the landfill coming up. So what we need to do is generate new tax revenue through the growth of business in town. We have a new economic development department head, and I know she's trying new things. She hasn't had a lot of time yet to make it work. I'm hoping that it does. But ultimately, the town council holds the town manager responsible for that. And I think that that's what we need to do, is hold his feet to the fire to make sure that we're getting more businesses in here, that we're doing everything we can to draw business into Southbridge, because we cannot keep raising taxes on our citizens here. Thank you.
Paul.
Hi, I believe I'm the only one on this panel that balanced the department budget for 12 years. I was being the department head of cable. We brought in a budget in every year, and we never played games. I never played one side against another, like you saw the other night at the town meeting. I wouldn't spend any money unless we had a unanimous vote. And if you look back in the cable minutes, you can see that everything we bought and everything we ever spent wasn't our money, so we made sure that it was a unanimous vote. And by doing that, everything we did was the right move, because 7, 8 people had to sign off and had to argue and we had to see. And I wish the council would do that more. If you watched the meeting that we had last Monday, 2.5 hours, and we didn't do anything. Nothing happened after 2.5 hours. So I think you should ask that question to the sitting town council.
Thank you. Thank you all. The next question goes to Monique. You have 2 minutes. The others will have 1. And that question is, what are your ideas or priorities regarding economic development?
What are my ideas and my priorities on economic development? Well, we just hired a new economic developer, Rosemary. She comes from the state. She's done a lot with the state, from what I understand. She's out there all the time. She works with the chamber. She's out there at meetings. She's very knowledgeable on the needs of our community, I believe. I also believe we need a full-time planner for the town. I think we should consider budgeting a full-time planner, somebody that can go out there and help Rosemary on a full-time basis to encourage businesses to come into town. We need to bring in investors to come and invest in the community. We are becoming a college community. QCC is expanding. We need to think outside the box and look at that and gear some of our thoughts towards how we can encourage college students to move into the areas, maybe some more bookstores, maybe some more small little shops or something. But I truly believe our economic developer that we do have now is doing a marvelous job. We just need to get out there more. And like I said, I believe we need a full-time planner working on that and bring in the investors into our community. We have a great community. There's a lot to do in this community. We have, I know our town manager is working with Franklin Realty down at the AO on things down there, but if we had a full-time planner, perhaps they could be working on that too, bringing in investors, helping Franklin Realty bring people down there and build that up for the community. That would increase our tax base. That would help with taxes in the community. So those are my thoughts for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
Well, the town has an economic development team. I think they should focus on job creation, and I think they should be held accountable for results. I would propose that the economic development team canvass new businesses and the top 20 or so employers in town and report monthly to the council on the number of new jobs created or lost. And if we are not seeing positive results in 6 months to a year, then the economic development team should be changed. Thank you.
Wallace?
Thank you. I do believe that we need to give a substantial tax break to new businesses entering Southbridge for approximately 1 to 2 years, depending upon their needs, providing that they will stay in Southbridge for a long term, perhaps 10 years. We need to work alongside the Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Business Partnership to find ways to strengthen businesses. We need to look to come alongside current businesses that may be struggling to see how we can best help them. Also, our town does have a new economic development person, and I would like to see an economic development committee to be instituted to work alongside. We need to encourage our shoppers to shop in Southbridge first, to support our businesses, to look to draw in new businesses through incentives, to look to search out state funding for job programs.
Thank you. Michael?
I'd like to see what the economic development director has got going on. I know we have a master plan that's being worked on to help try and improve things here. I think that's great. I would love to see us draw a business in here, though. What happened in Boston, what they got General Electric in there, I'd love to see something like that happen here. I know we're not going to get General Electric, but it's something great. And also, I like QCC growing in here, but I would love to see our own flagship school. Victor, you ever thought about being a dean of a school? I think that if we could get a flagship school in here that was based right here in Southbridge, that would be wonderful. We could be getting people living in here that are going to school. It would be wonderful for our economy. Thank you.
Paul?
Well, we've got a new economic team, and we've got to help them. And we're not helping them by having the downtown so dysfunctional. I've been told that the downtown is actually zoned, and it's supposed to be retail, AAA retail, really nice shops, and we've let that go. We let anybody move in downtown and take away our valuable retail space. Also, the crossing lights just don't work. Anybody who has to actually cross the street in Southbridge knows that you press that button and nothing happens. And even if they fix it, they just don't work. So it's not safe trying to cross the street downtown, and you never get any businesses. I'm not a big fan of downtown partnership because we've got a lot of businesses on the globe like Big Bunny, and we've got a lot of other businesses on the other side of town. So I'd like to come up with a plan that helps all our businesses and helps them grow. And I agree with Mike, the two Mikes. I think they both got pretty good ideas. I agree with them too. So we've got to all work, and we've got to help this economic person.
Thank you. Mark?
Question has been going on for some time. I was invited several years ago. I was with my wife on this economic development plan. How do we bring more business to Southbridge? As a location, we're not great. As demography, we're not great. But we do have a strong infrastructure. We've got great PD, we've got great fire, we have water, we have sewer, we have all that going on for us as far as public works goes. So how do we bring them in? Good question. Nobody's answered in the last 10 years. I don't have an answer for you this evening. However, we do have a kindred friend, a lieutenant governor, who I've been talking to, who obviously has a ear to the governor. Grants. The money is out there. The money is out there to make this happen. I don't think we've pursued it.
Thank you. This next question goes to you, Michael. You'll have 2 minutes. The others will have 1, as I said before. And that question is, last summer, the council rejected Casella's request for an expansion of the landfill into 11 additional acres. Would you support revisiting that issue, or would you oppose any and all future expansion?
Well, I'm opposed to any further expansion of the landfill. We've had enough garbage and trash dumped up there. Its poisons are leaking out and causing contamination of drinking wells, wetlands, and pose a threat to other water resources. If just one local aquifer gets contaminated, the town of Southbridge will be held responsible morally and financially. We just can't take the risk. Now, some people have asked me, if the landfill is closed, where will Southbridge garbage go? Well, that's Casella's problem. Casella contracted with the town of Southbridge for free curbside pickup until 2025, until whether the landfill is closed or not. They decided to fill up that landfill faster than they anticipated. Let them find someplace else to dump it, not Southbridge. Thank you.
Wallace.
Like it or not, we presently have a binding landfill contract agreement with Casella. This contract was legally agreed upon by past town council and past town managers. Because of this contract, we are bound by law to honor it until its end. While I'm not in favor of extending this contract, I would believe it would be environmentally irresponsible to suddenly dump the dump. We need to allow Casella, at the conclusion of the contract, to wind down their activities responsibly through proper capping of the dump. One other thought to bear in mind is that when the landfill ends, there is no place for our trash to be dumped. We will need to have to pay for that trash to be dumped elsewhere. I do believe that our dependence on royalties that we receive from Casella to be used in our budget is also financially irresponsible. Our schools could use this free money in addition to books and school supplies, and I'm certain that the police department and the fire department have needs.
Michael.
I absolutely oppose the expansion of Casella's operations. They have bought the McKinstry property last year, and I mean, it's unfortunate, but there's going to be a new cell up there. It's not going to be in addition to the landfill that's up there. It's not going to be next to, abutting it. It's going to be a separate standalone cell, and there's not a lot that we're going to be able to do to stop that. The best thing we can do is get a Board of Health in there that opposes it, and that's going to be the town council standing firm on making sure that we're getting people on that Board of Health that have the same will as the rest of the community. But I do not want to grow the landfill any further. I'd like to fill it up, cap it, and be done with it. Thank you.
Mark.
Again, whether you're for or against it or else.
I'm sorry, I skipped Paul. My fault.
That's
Paul.
okay.
Oh,
That's
I was
okay.
going to grandstand here for a second, thanks.
I'll get right back to you.
That's okay.
Paul.
That's okay, Victor. Everybody knows how I feel about the landfill. But no, I'm for closing it. There's some misinformation up here. Mike said it. Mike Marchetti said it right. They have to pick up our trash till 2025, so we don't have to worry about. There's 2 separate contracts. Picking up our trash is a contract. I think Casella does a good job picking up our trash. And I'd be happy if they pick it up till 2025. That'll be beautiful. The size of the landfill is a whole different subject, and they've been playing. And see, with misinformation, nobody understands that those are 2 different contracts. You know, so they're going to pick up our trash. They do a great job. Look around. You don't see couches and stuff like you used to see. I've always given them credit for that. I never wanted a mountain. Nobody in this town ever wanted a giant mountain. And now they're going to build a wall around the mountain, and they're going to fill in between the mountain and the walls. That is insanity. Let's not do that. Let's shut them down slowly. We can cut down the states that bring it, and then we can cut down the volume like they're doing now. I said this last year, and now Casella is cutting down their volume. So we can live without Casella, and we can go to zero trash. Just look online, and there's a such thing as zero waste.
Now, Mark.
Again, I have perused, tried to do my due diligence. This is our contract. I couldn't even tell you how many pages. But, again, we are committed to not the expansion certainly, but the increased tonnage. It's in this contract. It's a done deal. It's a moot point. From here on, yes, let's look at it. Let's make sure that Casella does its due diligence. I agree, they've done a super job. I haven't heard from any residents that have had any complaints with them. I think they're a great neighbor. Done a good job for us. Do we want to expand this and do this deal over again, which I think was in the lack of better words, a PP deal to begin with, done by a weak town manager way back and a weak council, unknown council way back. But we own it. So here it is. Going forward, yes, let's look at it. Let's get the best deal we can for our own rubbish,
Thank you. Monique.
Thank you, Victor. I believe the rejected expansion to the landfill of the 11 acres was within the footprint. I'm not going to elaborate on anything that was set up here in regards to certain things because I don't have all the facts. However, Casella wouldn't be up there if Southbridge could have managed the landfill themselves. That's what I know. I didn't even know there was a landfill in our community until about 8 years ago when I had some issues on my street with drugs, and that's how I found out about the landfill. Casella's a business, doing business in our town. They have a vested interest in our town, and I think we as a town council or potential town councilors need to work with Casella, especially when the Kin Street property comes into play, and talk to them about other uses for that property. Thank you.
Thank you. Wallace, this next question goes to you. You have 2 minutes, the others will have 1. And that question is, the inevitable closing of the landfill sooner or later will mean about $3 million in lost income for the town. What kinds of steps do you favor as the town approaches that fiscal cliff?
Well, first of all, it's understood that when it does close, there's going to be time for it to be capped. And it's when it does close, we are going to have to be responsible enough to decrease our budget using their money. So we need to start that now. We are going to, and I'm a homeowner, and I'm not in favor of raising taxes. Not at all. But we are going to have to be fiscally responsible, and we're going to have to raise taxes somewhat to help offset. We're also going to have to come together and look to find ways, either through increased state funding, state grants, federal grants, and also our own initiative to find ways to replace the money that we're going to be losing from Casella. But that's not going to happen right away. There is going to be a time for us to plan out a method to do all these things. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen tomorrow. We are going to have time to at least plan. I like our town manager's budget. I like the fact that he says, let's not consider free money. Let's take that free money and not include it in our budget. What we need to do is we need to raise money properly and consistently, have consistent ways, whereas we're going to be able to raise money to meet all the expenses. If raising taxes slightly each year is one way to go about it, then we're going to have to do it, like it or not. Thank you.
Michael.
I think we've had the opportunity here. We've seen it coming. We know it's going to close. So this last town council has refused to raise taxes, which I think is the right move. That stumps any or stunts any growth. We cannot have new spending. We've got to tighten our belts, and we've got to try and figure out new streams of revenue. And I think that's done through bringing businesses in here. I do not want to burden our citizens with higher taxes. And this is something that's going to be some belt tightening here, and we're going to have some rough times here. But this town was great without Casella. It can be great without Casella. It was great without Casella. It can be great without Casella again. Thank you.
Paul.
I agree with Mike. I I don't like that word cliff. Just the fact that you guys put that word cliff in, there's no cliff is coming. Well, you know, if you think it's a cliff, I don't think you should be a counselor. You know, it's not a cliff. You know, it was something we should have never done, not that big. We always try to do things a little too big in Southbridge. Everything is like this, you know. We should have just, there was 300 landfills in Massachusetts in 1980, and now there's only 7. So we got into the tail end of a business. That's like opening a video store or a bookstore today, and we opened a landfill. All those things ended. Landfills are ending, bookstores are ending, video stores are ending. As you can see, there's a lot of businesses that are never going to be, and that's what that landfill was. It was an old-fashioned business that is no longer part of the 21st century. And if we want to be part of the 21st century, we've got to go to zero waste and get out of that business. It can be done. Look around.
Mark.
My father used to bring me to Main Street, buy my shoes. He used to be able to get school clothes there. That's gone. And I don't see that coming back for some time. I truly don't. I believe that given an opportunity, and it's going to be itty-bitty steps, this town's going to come back. It will. We got to give it a shot. Again, and as I started, I get my little red light. We do have some sympathy in Boston. We do have a lieutenant governor that comes from Worcester. She's with us, and she's sympathetic to what's going on here.
Thank you. Monique.
Thank you, Victor. With the loss of revenue coming from the landfill revenue, well, first of all, we don't have a plan. There should have been a plan set in place way before now. So there is no plan. So we need to diligently work on a plan. We need our economic developer out there, and I'll echo this again, we need a planner to bring in people, investors, investing in this town. We need to be responsible with the money, and we need to work with the businesses. You know, Casella is a business. I'll say it again. They have a vested interest in Southbridge. They bought the McKinstry property. They're not going anywhere. That landfill closes, they have to cap it, and they have all that acreage up there still. So it's best that we work together with the business and be friendly. Thank you.
Michael.
Well, of the $1 million that we get from Casella, of the $3 million that we get from Casella, $1 million goes for services that Casella is obliged to continue even if the landfill is closed. They have to pay for the access road to the landfill, and they have to pay for free garbage pickup till 2025, and the monitoring activities up there, which will cease. The second $1 million of it flows into the town surplus fund because of excessive tonnage from Casella dumping at the landfill. The real problem is the $920,000 that we receive in royalty payments, which are accounted as revenue in the town's budget. When the landfill is closed, it's going to leave a big hole in our budget. The current council has made no plan yet on what to do when the landfill is closed. By waiting until the last minute, they will back themselves into a corner and be forced to either lay off town employees or expand the landfill. I'm opposed to either of those options. I have some ideas, but I would like to see the town council work together as a whole for coming up with a plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael, this is your question. You have 2 minutes, the others will have 1. And that question is, we all want to return to excellence in our schools. Please characterize the working relationship between the town council, the school committee, and the school department's receiver. How would your presence on the town council contribute to this difficult process?
Well, there's really, the being in receivership, it's not something that we have a lot of control over. The state has taken over, so we're on the sidelines now. And I think some good things are happening. There's some things that are happening that you would not be able to do being a part of this community. It's almost like you need to be able to come in and not fear retaliation from the community to do the things that need to be done, that nobody that lives here would be able to accomplish. And so I'm glad to see that. I'm afraid, though, an agenda may be being put in place that I'm not a fan of at the same time, and I have no control over. But the school is the big elephant in the room. It's in Massachusetts, it costs about $10,000 per student to educate them. We have approximately 1,400 students in this town. That would mean that normally you're talking about a budget of $14 million to educate our town. We have a budget of $54 million for this town, and over half of it goes to the school. That's $27 million, over $27 million. That is 14 million and 27, that's $13 million more that we're paying to educate our kids here than our surrounding communities need to. And constantly what you're hearing is that we're not investing in our kids. They're spending $10,000 to put a kid through school. We're spending $17,000 to $18,000. And there's a whole series of problems that we need to address. School committee really can't address it. It really goes to the home. It needs to be an attitude that we get with our parents to say, we've got to raise these kids correctly. If you have a kid that is failing our school system, and you're not engaged, you're not involved with the teachers, and you're not involved with the school, then your kid is not only failing the school, you're failing the community.
Thank you. Paul.
I agree with Mike. Again, I don't know why, but I do. But a few years ago, just before the school was built, the cable office, we voted to give the school $200,000 in television equipment. There was supposed to be a 3-camera studio up there. We gave the money to a superintendent that was in this building, and he took the money. And he promised us a video teacher, and he promised us to build a studio, and he would keep that going and it would never get cut. That guy's gone, and so's the money, and that's not right. And I'd like to know, I'd like to ask that receiver, how does he feel about that? We should be able to go live up there. Graduation was live for 15 years, and now a lot of people in town don't even know we had graduation last week, So we need some trades up there maybe, and that would draw some more kids back to the school, and we need to look at our kids and figure out which ones should be at Bay Path and which ones should be at Southbridge High. I think they're playing a game with that too. A lot of those kids, if they're failing, they should be in trade school. And then if they
Thank you.
If they work, they can maybe go back to school.
Mark, you're up.
Huge question. Very close to, from what I understand through my research, almost half, very close to half of our budget for the town is school kids. And it's incredible the amount of money that the state has afforded us, which again, because of the demographics, we take the advantage of. As a citizen, how would I deal with it? Zero tolerance. As a counselor, all we can do, or the council can do, certainly is work with the school committee budget-wise. I mean, that's all the purview the council has. As a citizen, shame on these guys.
Thank you. Monique.
Thank you, Victor. First of all, the school for the town of Southbridge is in receivership, and I supported that receivership. Nobody wants to see their town go into receivership, but I believe that this is a positive thing for our community. I believe the politics is now taken out of it, and we have good leadership. We had some good leadership before also with some of the principals in there, but I believe now we have a strong receiver, and she has built a strong team. I am very pleased to see 3 school committee members running, even though they can't vote on the school committee. It's very important that the school committee members stay involved and work with the receiver and the town council as well. We all work together. This way they know what is going on, and when the receiver is finally ready to give back to the town, the school committee will then know what is going on. So I'm very pleased that we have these 3 people on the ballot this year. Thank you.
Michael.
Well, I don't know if the council and the school committee and the school receiver have any working relationship. I know that the council and the school committee have had problems in the past working together. The school committee is just made up of residents who have a special interest in the educational needs here in Southbridge. The council should listen to what they have to say, and where there's an agreement reached, it would be better if the council and the school committee went together to the school receiver with their concerns. But right now, the school receiver has all the power on educational issues in our public schools. Thank you.
Wallace.
Our schools are now in receivership, as we know, and while this may seem to be a negative concept, it can also be viewed as a positive step forward. As we are guided through the process of receivership, we are learning new and correct concepts of educating our children. This receivership can only benefit us. We need to come alongside the receiver now and the school committee later and work closely with them. We need to understand what are the pros and the cons in our school. We also need to hold the students accountable for their participation, homework, and attendance. We need to develop resources which will aid and help parents to help the children with their homework and guide them. After school and or Saturday remedial tutoring is a thought. Continued disruptive behavior or lack of cooperation should lead to suspensions and dismissals.
Thank you. Paul, you have 2 minutes for this question. The others will have 1. And here is the question. Regarding public safety, how do you think Southbridge ranks overall?
Let's see. Well, I think it just depends on what part of town you're talking about. You know, I think it varies. It varies. Right now, I'm living down on Charlton Street and Mechanic Street, and it's kind of a rough neighborhood. You know, uptown it's getting rougher. I don't know. There's some neighborhoods like Elm Street and Everett Street that have changed. You know, we all knew these to be very safe neighborhoods and pleasant places, and now they're becoming dangerous. Last night, I saw a police officer on a bicycle go through my neighborhood, and it was very nice to see. We all felt a little better seeing. So I guess that's being implemented. But you know, you read the Telegram, and you know, we're nothing like Worcester or Lowell or Leominster or Fitchburg. You know, it's basically a pretty safe town. But it just depends on the neighborhood. I don't want to see any money spent on rail trails and paths through the woods when, again, our lights don't work, our crossing lights don't work. There's no sidewalk to get from the Rotary to get to Big Y. We don't have a sidewalk. I think we should put the sidewalk in. I don't think we should be building trails in the woods until all our sidewalks are nice and they're handicap accessible and they all have the cut curbs and everybody can walk safely. There's really no way to walk to Westville. If you tried to walk to Westville, the sidewalk ends after West Street, maybe Westwood Parkway, and then there's no way to get down there. You're walking in the road. We're lucky we're getting Chestnut Street done because now we can get to our polling place, you know, so we've got a lot of infrastructure to do, and we've got a new chief. I have 100% faith in our new chief. I've met a lot of the new officers, and I've got 100% faith that he's doing a good job, and I can see the difference in Southbridge just since we got the new chief, and I feel safer already. So I think we've got a future in safety in Southbridge.
Thank you. Mark?
Not to dispute my colleague, but I run from my house by Ashland Avenue to the Rotary and back, and yeah, there's a sidewalk from the Rotary to Big Y. Trust me there. Well, I make it back and forth. I haven't been killed yet, but I'm with you there. But
no back and forth.
Priority-wise, my apologies, but priority-wise, again, the school system, the Parks and Recreation, I think are things that we've kind of left behind. But again, back to which I'd love to get a committee together to seek out some of these state grants. We may even be eligible for federal grants. I don't think we've taken advantage of that. Our demographics hurt us, but at the same time, they can be a plus for us. And we should pursue that. And that will bring this town back, or at least get a start. You can't do it without funds. We can certainly do it with enthusiasm, which I think we have. We certainly have a great infrastructure.
Thank you. Paul, I'll give you 30 seconds, and I will keep it to it.
Okay. No, I just want to say that, I know that I can make it to Big Y, and I'm sure, Mark, you could run to Big Y. I'd like to walk with you sometime and show you, but I live at 60 Charlton Street, and I know people in wheelchairs and the little scooters, and they can't even get to the concerts. From the high rise to the gazebo, there's big holes in the sidewalks. So they can't even get to the concert on the Common, and they wouldn't even dream of trying to get to Big Y. So the sidewalk, having tar is in a sidewalk.
Thank you. Monique?
Thank you, Victor. As for our public safety and how do we rank, well, I think we do a fine job on what little we have. I believe our police department needs to be beefed up a little bit. About 3 years ago, we had an audit, and in the audit, it stated that we should have at least 40 full-time officers, and we do not. We have, I believe, 35 full-time officers. Today, we have many overdoses in this town. We have many people that have guns illegally. There are stops. Police officers have done stops, and they've had recovered weapons. We've had armed robberies in this town. The drugs are still rampant. I think we have a marvelous fire department, and we need to keep the fire department fully staffed. As for the sidewalks and not being built for the disabled, well, if we're not building for the sidewalks for the disabled, then we are going against the American Disabilities Act, because they are supposed to be, and I believe they are. So I walk them also.
Thank you. Michael?
Thank you.
Well, the last time I checked the crime rates in Southbridge, I found that Southbridge crime rates are lower than the national average. However, when compared to other towns and cities in Massachusetts, the violent crime rate in Southbridge is 10% below the average, while the property crime rate is 20% above the average. So unless they've done so recently, I think the council should sit down with the police chief, review his policing methods, determine what's worked, what's not worked. I mean, certainly any crime is devastating to the victim, but it's also to the feeling among residents about the quality of their life. Thank you.
Wallace?
Yes, regarding public safety, I do believe that our police, our fire, our ambulance are all doing a fantastic job in looking for our safety and our protection. But they also need financial assistance to better perform their services. I would like to see a community watch program instituted, whereas neighbors, or you could call it a block association, where they would look out for their own neighborhoods. I'd like to see an auxiliary police program expanded, and I'd like to see drug prevention and alcohol prevention programs utilized far better than they are. And I'd like to see family counseling and to alleviate domestic crimes as much as possible.
Thank you. Michael?
Last night we had a PPP meeting, and we just authorized 13 more auxiliary officers, so we are beefing that up. And I have recently been having dealings with the police chief, Shane Woodson. I'm very happy with him. Both in being in PPP this year and with the bicentennial planning for the parade and the festival. That's been a lot of working hand in hand with the police department. And last night, the police chief said something very interesting to me. I almost fell over. He said that the police calls have gone from what I'm assuming is 9,000 per year, 9,000 calls per year, to 22,000. That's significant. That's scary. It goes back to the problem that we're talking about we have in the schools. When the kids start graduating, or they're getting out of school without graduating, now they're in the community. We own them, and if they're not able to get jobs, if they're not functional, then crime's going to go up. I think we've got a flag that is being raised right now that we all need to be paying attention to.
Thank you. Mark, this next question is for you. You have 2 minutes. The others will have 1, and that question is 3 parts. Just a 3-part question. Nearly every town provides an annual report to its taxpayers detailing the monies they take in and how those dollars are spent. Southbridge, however, does not. Do you know why? Do you consider it good and proper use of town employees' time and taxpayer money? And would you support mandating that an annual report be done?
Thanks for the first question. Annual report, being a newcomer, I am actually surprised that there's not an annual report. To my knowledge, it's in the charter that an annual report will be presented to the council annually, and I was not aware. No, I was not. Is that an issue? Absolutely. Is it good use? Certainly not. A mandated report? Absolutely. Again, news to me, and I apologize for not realizing that, but shame on if a town manager who's responsible for not providing that annually has not, and shame on the council for not, if I understand the question correctly, hasn't requested it or insisted on it. Then I hope that answers your three.
All set? Thank you. Monique?
Thank you, Victor. I was just looking through the town charter real quick, and I know the town manager is tasked to provide a budget annually. This question came up from a citizen to me actually not too long ago about an annual report, and I inquired about it because I'd never seen an annual report either. So I believe years ago there was one done, but I don't know the reason why. It just went by the wayside. I don't know if it was a town manager decision, whose decision, or if just somebody stopped and the town manager didn't know that there was one done. But would I support an annual report? If that could be done, if that feasibly could be done, I would support that. But right now we have the budget, and I would like to see all that stuff right up there on our internet so people can just click on a button and they can see everything. Thank you.
Michael?
Well, I did mention this in the first question, but I would like to add this. In reading the budgets, one of the things that caught my attention is that nearly every department, every school, and even the school committee has several line items for the cost of meetings, conventions, membership fees, conferences, and travel expenses to those meetings. I had to go through each of the line items for each department to calculate that the town spends more than $70,000 a year on all those items added together. They range from $400 a year for the planning department to $14,000 a year for the school committee. So I think it's a good idea that if those items are placed in a summary total for those expenses in one single category, somewhere in an executive summary. Thank you.
Thank you. Wallace?
I would ask you to repeat that question, please.
Certainly. Nearly every town provides an annual report to its taxpayers, detailing the monies they take in and how those dollars are spent. Southbridge, however, does not. Do you know why? Do you consider it a good and proper use of town employees' time and taxpayer money? And third, would you support mandating that an annual report be done?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would look and wonder about priorities. I do believe that the various department heads continually come before the town council during council meetings and report on a regular basis various aspects of what are taking place in their departments. So therefore, we're getting an annual report all throughout the year. I don't feel that we need to have a yearly report, only because it would involve a lot more work. It would probably cost taxpayers money, and I don't believe that the amount of labor that would be involved would benefit. I think we're fine the way we're going, and I don't really see a need. Thank you.
Michael?
No, I absolutely support this here. This is one that we used to do here. This is from 2003. It's the report that we put out. I have a barber that is very politically active, and he handed this to me about 2 years ago, and I've told him that this is something that I would support. This is transparency. And I'll tell you what, when we put budgets together, that's a lot of work. We put these budgets together, and then we approve them, and once they're approved, you start making a report so everybody can see it. So yes, I think it is. The problem is, this is quite a book, and so you want to publish these things, that's going to be an expensive project there. What you do is you put it online. Make it available online. Thank you.
Paul?
I'm all for it. I recall them years ago. They're very important. Not only do I support it, I think we should go back a couple of years if we're going to do it. So eventually you can see, are we making progress? Are we going forward, or are we going backward? And none of us can know that without looking at a book like that. Or if somebody has a question, we could look it up instantly. Online's good. Not everybody in Southbridge has a computer. So, we have to make these things available. I'm 100% for it. We also, when I was running cable, we had created a show called The Manager's Report. And once a month, we used to have the manager sit in the middle with all the department heads, and they used to report to the town. That was a great idea, but the next manager didn't carry that on. So we used to have a show where we'd hear, what every department was doing, so everybody knew. And if you worked on the book all year, and you just put then at the end of the year, it wouldn't be that much work. And with printing it nowadays, I think we could do it. I'm all for the report.
Monique, this next question is for you. You have 2 minutes, the others have 1. And that question is, the Office of Economic Development gets about $800,000 from the state, but is not accountable to the town for how the funds are used. When the town council votes to approve that money, how will you make that office more transparent regarding its spending to the town and to the taxpayers?
Well, I believe the money that you're talking about is CDGB money. And there's guidelines that the Economic Development Office has to go through if they do, in fact, receive that amount of money. They have to apply for that money. It's not just free money that they get all the time. They have to apply for that money. And then when they do apply for that money, they usually bring it to subcommittee, the Plan and Development Subcommittee, and they usually go through with the counselors that go to that subcommittee, what they would like to spend it on. And in past meetings, I remember that the counselors, there would be like a spreadsheet, and all the money would be laid out, and where the money would go, where they would want the money to go if we did indeed get the money. And some of that money would go on for improving areas of the town. Some money would go to local businesses if they applied for it, for awnings and signs. And even some of that money, I believe, I'm not too sure, is used for homes, for people who want to improve their homes. They apply for that money, and they have to stay in their home for a certain number of years. If they move out, they have to repay that money. And also, it's decided on how much each time they get that money, how much money would go to like your nonprofit agencies and such. So people have to apply for that money. I believe we're very transparent about that. We talk about it in subcommittee. We talk about it up on town council. But to be more transparent, I believe that after everything is all said and done, that it should be on the internet so people can go up there and research if they need to. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Certainly. The Office of Economic Development gets $800,000 from the state, but is not accountable to the town for how the funds are used. When the town council votes to approve that money, how will you make that office more transparent regarding its spending to the town and to the taxpayers?
Well, I'm not sure I have an answer for that. I think that from what I understand, they are pretty transparent about how they're using the money. I would like to see the money used for more safety items, and something that I think that it could be used for it's a new fire truck. I don't see anything wrong with using it for a fire truck or things that are of that nature, which are for safety items in this town. So thank you.
Wallace?
Thank you. I think that they are actually transparent, and I think that the money is very, very clear as to how the money is being spent. It's presented, it's applied for, it's agreed upon. I would like, as Mr. Marchetti has indicated, I would like to see more for the fire department. The building itself, the bays are very narrow, and it's difficult for them to get all their apparatus in there. I think we do need to look for safety, more safety, and have the money utilized for safe situations rather than not. That's all I can say.
Michael?
Well, if this is CDBG money, then it's an area that I'm not real familiar with. I've worked in several of the subcommittees, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know something that I don't. But I do know that most of the time when money is given to you from the state, they don't usually say use it how you please. They usually have very specific uses for it. So if we're given money, $800,000, it's probably for very specific uses. I'm not familiar with the transparency of it, and I really don't want to speak to it until I've really looked into it further. So thank you.
Paul?
$800,000 is an astounding figure, and we've had no economic development in all these years, and somebody was getting $800,000. I'd like to get some answers. It doesn't seem like anybody has any idea why or where. So let's get someone to do a report on the last 10 years. Where has the $800,000 a year gone for the last 10 years? Then we could make a decision by looking at that on where it worked best, where it didn't work, or where it was wasted, and who wasted it. I think I got an idea, but I'm not going to say right now. But $800,000 a year, we can bring business to town, maybe seed money for some companies that want to start. But we need someone to bring a payroll to Southbridge, not just a little boutique. We need companies that have a huge payroll. That'll bring the town back.
Thank you. Mark?
Based on the question that's posed, I don't think that I could add any more than my colleague next to me who has the experience with it. I could think of a lot of wonderful places for $800,000 to go, but question is posed, where is it going? Asked and answered. I couldn't answer any better.
Thank you. This is the last question, and that question goes to Michael, and you have 2 minutes, the others have 1. And that question is, rate the condition of our roads. Our regular budget for road repair is over $500,000, but that is not enough. Do we fix the roads or live with them as is? And if you advocate for the repairs, where would the money come from?
Well, as I said earlier, my priority, one of my priorities is fixing the roads. I know that we have a lot of other issues in town, especially with the fire station, but I think that we need a capital improvement plan to fix our roads in town. That's something that can be captured and spread out over a long period of time, a capital improvement bond. It's something that can be paid back, and it actually would be more of a benefit to the town than the cost. So yes, my priority is the road right now, and I think the other things we can talk about once we have that straightened out. Thank you.
Wallace?
Yes. We have 5 districts in Southbridge, and what I'd like to suggest is that possibly we would divide each of those 5 districts into 3 sub-districts. And each year, one of those sub-districts in the 5 districts, roads would be worked on in that particular year. In other words, each year, 5 areas of Southbridge, the roads would be worked on and repaired and fixed. I don't think that doing it this way would be astronomical financially. I think it would be responsible, and I think that it would be in 5 years' time, we would get it all done. Thank you.
Michael?
I apologize, Victor. Could you ask the questions again?
Certainly. Rate the condition of our roads. Our regular budget for road repair is over $500,000, But that is not enough. Do we fix the roads or live with them as is? And if you advocate for the repairs, where would the money come from?
Well, currently, most of the money that we, in fact, all the money that we put on the roads comes from Chapter 90 money. And that's not unusual. Most communities like that are dependent on the state Chapter 90 money to do the roads. DPW is a whole nother issue there, and the roads are in terrible shape. All right, and I'll tell you that we've got a problem with the DPW. We've got one person trying to do two jobs, and things are falling apart. And before you can address that, you need to get the DPW functional again. Thank you.
Paul.
I rate the roads as poor, and I think they need to be done. As an example, back when we got the stimulus money, Sturbridge fixed their entire Main Street, you know, from one end of town to the other, with sidewalks and a beautiful road, and that lifted the whole town. Everybody went up. Everybody looked good. We got the stimulus money. We fixed Woodstock Road. Who lives on Woodstock Road? Well, we know who. See, so we had a chance to fix our roads and we didn't do it. Let's not make that mistake again. Let's put money into Main Street and the main arteries. We got a road that's being used by the school, Charlton Street, and that road is getting beat up. You know, we've got to fix that road because all our kids are driving on that road twice a day. So we've got to invest in the town. We're not going to get business and we're not going to get people to move here and to start here without good roads. So I'm for fixing the roads, whatever it costs.
Thank you. Mark.
Money for roads is obviously Chapter 70. Majority is state funded. Again, purview of the council is to vote on the most appropriate and most, let's say, emergency-wise spots in town, potholes, so forth. Subcommittees decide in advance before the money's even there. We've got it spent. We've got a spot where all this is going to go. And with respect to their research, their running around town, we have it in place way before the money comes. Does the money ever catch up? No. There's never enough money for road repairs. We'll never be there, but we're going to do the best we can based on what we have to spend. And again, that's all Chapter 90 money, and we, based on our highway department and our subcommittees, we have faith in them.
Thank you. Monique.
Thank you, Victor. My colleagues up here are right, Chapter 90 money. We get most of our money for our roads through Chapter 90, and that's to our state. It wasn't too long ago, I set up a meeting with Senator Fatman and Representative Durant and our DPW Director, Heather Blakely, and we toured Southbridge, the roads, because I had several complaints in regards to the roads. And I try to advocate for more money. I will continue to try to advocate for more money. It's a formula, unfortunately, that the state uses, and that's how it's decided how much money our town gets. I think the formula needs to be looked at better, you know, so we get more money, of course, and but I do know that we do have roads that are on the list of repairs, and one of them being South Street, and South Street is very, very bad, and that is on the list to be repaired very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. You will each now have 3 minutes for a closing statement, and that will conclude our debate for tonight. And we'll start with that 3 minutes with Mark.
Again, thank you so much for the opportunity this evening. Again, I would love to have an opportunity to serve this town as councilor. Back to strengths and weaknesses, we have a stupendous police department. We have a stupendous fire department and ambulance service. We have a stupendous highway department, water and sewer. We got it all going for us, except for maybe a location, which we're not on the Mass Pike. Other than that, why can't we get more folks in here? Why can't we build up our infrastructure? Why can't we bring up our mod? something we got to work on. Those are our strengths. Our weaknesses, obviously, our demographics. We're 40,000 and change per household. That's wife, husband, and family. So we're in a lower part of the income of the state. But maybe that's an advantage. Again, I sound like a Democrat, but I'm sure as hell not. But the state, the money is there. We have an opportunity to chase a lot more of this. We are getting, as far as our kids going to the school choice program and so forth, we're getting a heck of a lot better rate. Our funding for roads, Chapter 90, Chapter 70, we're getting a heck of a lot more than most towns are. Because who we are and our demographics. Do we want to be there? No. We want to be proud as a town. So let's utilize that. You want to talk about improving the look of Southbridge, the Main Street of Southbridge, all this. The state money is here. They're there to help us. I don't think we're taking advantage of it. We can't do it internally. We're not going to get any more businesses here other than we have a fiber optics industry. We have our United Lens. We have our Hyde Manufacturing. We have our American Optical, what's left of it, the Southbridge Business Park. To entice these folks to come, other than location, we're obviously put it out there for the last 10 years. We're a friendly town. We're a friendly tax town. Come, bring your business here. We have to put a new face in this town, and we're not going to do it with the income that we have right now. Let's go to the state. Let's talk to the state. There's federal money out there probably. I think we're missing the boat on this, and as silly as it sounds, being in this lower demographic, it gives us more opportunity from the state to bring money in to help us. And if we need it, so be it. We're all taxpayers of the state of Massachusetts, too.
Thank you.
Let's take advantage.
Monique.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Democratic Town Committee and the Republican Town Committee for hosting this. Thank you, Victor, and thank you also to the volunteers with the cable department for spending the time coming here to ensure that the community sees this. I'm running for a 3-year seat, I believe, in Southbridge, and I love Southbridge. Over the last 3 years, I've proven, I believe, myself to be my own person. I research the issues. I base my decisions on facts, and I ask questions when questions are needed to be asked. I would never base a decision based on high emotion, because usually bad decisions are based when emotions run high. I believe I'm a proven voice for the community. I'm fiscally responsible. And by that, I also mean being fiscally responsible, it consists of more than keeping the taxes low. It also means that you need to invest in your community, invest in the departments, make sure everybody has the tools they need. Stop putting a Band-Aid on the open wound, because it's just going to continue to fester and get worse and worse and worse. We need to ensure the departments have the tools they need. I believe I said that earlier. And, you know, I believe I'm positive in discussion also. Also, I do work well with our state legislature, our state representative Peter Durant and our state senator Ryan Fatman. I've done tours with them down at the sewer treatment plant to show them the needs down there. That was a very stinky tour, but somebody had to do it. We've done tours of the roads, like I said. We've done tours at the airport. I've worked with the sheriff's department and advocating for them to come into town for the graffiti. I've always recommended to the town manager to contact our sheriff's department for community cleanup. I believe in what Lou Evangelitis does with that, and if we could utilize that for our town and it not cost the town anything, and it's helping other people in the process, then I'm all for that. I also, you know, I feel I've been a voice for the community over the last 3 years, and I want to continue to be your voice. I believe there's a better Southbridge ahead of us, and I am committed in creating that vision, and I hope I've earned your vote to serve you for another 3 years. Thank you.
Michael.
Well, again, I'd like to thank all the people responsible for putting on this debate. Now, I think I've made it clear that I believe the single biggest issue facing the town is the future of the Southbridge landfill. Enough garbage and trash has been dumped up there, and it's leaking. It's environmentally unsound. It is starting to poison residential water wells, wetlands, and it poses a threat to other water resources. If those poisons reach just a single water aquifer, Southbridge will be morally and financially responsible, and we cannot afford the risk. There is just no good reason for Southbridge to be known as the dumping capital of Massachusetts. Peace of mind is something that money cannot buy. We need a solid plan on what to do to replace lost royalty payments from Casella. I have some ideas and opinions on what needs to be done, but it really requires a consensus on the whole town council to implement a plan. I believe we have the resources to cover the loss of landfill royalties, and we can do it without a single loss of a single town employee job. All it takes is the political will to get the job done. But we will not find that will if we drink the Casella Kool-Aid. They have made a concerted effort, along with their allies, to convince us that we need them more than they need us, and what's more, that there's nothing we can do about it. The town manager recently said the Board of Health has the final word on landfill expansion. He said that the previous council delegated this authority to the Board of Health and put that delegation into the town's contract with Casella. The town manager said the issue was outside the purview of the town council. I have a serious question as to whether an old council can bind the current council on issues of governance. Who gets to decide what? The decision on any kind of expansion, whether vertically or horizontally, belongs to before the elected council and not with an appointed Board of Health. But we must also pay attention to other needs. Improve streets and roads, more jobs. I happen to think Southbridge is in a very good location, located between Greater Boston and Hartford. Greater respect for the citizens and a reduction in the property crime rate in town. If elected, I pledge to work hard on addressing all of those issues and any new issue which may come up. I ask for your support and vote on June 28th. Together, we can make Southbridge a better place to live and prosper. Thank you.
Wallace.
I also would like to thank all those who put together this debate. I don't really see it as a debate. It seems like a conglomeration of good-hearted people who care about this town. As a citizen and homeowner of Southbridge, I care about this town and its future. This town has blessed me in numerous ways, and because of this, I want to give back to this town through service. I previously mentioned that I served as a missionary in Jamaica and that I served on the Recreation Committee and that I served on the Planning and Development Subcommittee. I think it's important that when we take a look to serve our community, we truly understand what the word serve really means. According to the dictionary, I found two definitions. A, to perform services or duties. For, to give service to aid, to assist, and to help. And B, to give obedience and reverence to God. I believe by serving and helping others, I also will be giving and being obedient and reverent to my God. Those who look to serve cannot have their own agenda in mind, but must have the true desire to serve and help the people. In other words, they need to put the needs of the people in the forefront of their service and not their own personal desires. As representatives of the people, we need to be a listening ear to all the needs of the people and to look to do what's in the people's best interest. Furthermore, I will look to serve by providing leadership, unity, reason, respect, and accountability to all the people of Southbridge. I will look to work diligently with the town officials to improve our town's quality of life. I will fight to keep our taxes as low as possible. I will represent all the people of Southbridge honestly and fairly. I'll look to revitalize the business community. I will work closely with our school receivership now and our school committee in the future. I'll look to use sound and reasonable judgment concerning all matters that come before the town council. I will never forget that I'm a servant of the people. I am my own man and will vote on all matters according to their merit and not because I'm aligned with anyone. I will bring fresh blood and new ideas to the council. While serving in Jamaica, one word frequently used by the Jamaicans is the word respect. I will always look to show respect for all the people. I am not one who is comfortable with fighting, division, cliques, or separation. All councilors should strive to work together for the betterment and prosperity of Southbridge. I'm one who favors inclusion, not exclusion. In addition, I know that a good number of roads are in dire need of repair. I have a plan to develop these roads without overtaxing the Southbridge residents. Thank you.
Michael.
I too would like to thank again, the Democrat and the Republican town committees for the work they've done, the Southbridge Cable Access, and the volunteers, all the volunteers that have done this, and the audience that's watching. Wally just reminded me, I have a former town councilor loves to remind me that this is not really a debate. He always calls it a debate, because I'd love to get them in on trying to help form how we do this, how we do the questions, because we're all open for great ideas to how to change and make it better. But hopefully everybody is getting the information that they need from this. If you felt pride for the parade, when you were at that parade, the Southbridge Bicentennial Parade, and you felt pride for Southbridge, and at the festival, you felt pride when you saw what this town looked like, and it all together, and everybody together lined up on the streets to watch members of our town come out there and display their stuff. If you felt that sense of pride, well, that's what I want. I want us to all feel that pride again. All right? That's what I'd like to bring back to Southbridge. This was the metropolis of the area. Everybody went to the city. This was Southbridge. We were a mill town. Things have changed, but we can still be proud of Southbridge again. And I'd like to be the person to help bring you that. So please, don't forget to vote on June 28th. Vote for me. Thank you.
Paul.
Hi, I too would like to thank everybody involved in putting this show on, and I really appreciate it. I'd like to give a special shout out to my friend Chick Poulin and the gang down at the Quinnebog Plaza. I'm sure they're watching, and I promised I'd say hi. Southbridge was a good location. We haven't moved. The location is a great location. If it was a great location in the 60s, guess what? It's still a great location. We haven't changed, but we dropped the ball, and we're going to have to get back on track and get this town revitalized. If we're going to talk about some of our politicians, Senator Moore was one of my mentors, and he told me that what we should do up here is listen and then lead. Those are two words that haven't been spoken up here. We have to listen to what the town needs and what they would want, and then once we know that, we have to lead and get that job done the best we can, and take that ball as further down the field as we can get it. You know, I don't think anybody loves this town more than me. I was living in Beverly Hills, and I came back because I missed the sense of community. I was in the middle of a riot. They burned the whole city down. You don't think the roads were bad in a town that had earthquakes? You don't think the crime was out? So as I got a little older, I wanted this. I wanted to come back to a small New England town where I knew everybody, and when people drive by, I wave and I say hi, and I feel safe. And we can get that back again. I know we can. I've got faith in our new manager. I got faith in all these people up here. I've worked with all the councilors at one time or another, and I know we can do it. I'm tired of hearing about the landfill, like Mike said. You know, every announcement was, oh, when's hazardous waste day, and when how much tonnage is up there. And look at all the subjects we brought up tonight that have been neglected, because all we're thinking about is this mountain that nobody ever wanted here, you know. It was a beautiful town, and we can bring that beautiful town back. We really can. You know, but it takes everybody. You got to start coming to the meetings. If you can't come, make sure you watch. They're even putting them online now, so you can watch them on the internet. You can come to the meeting and sit in the front row. You can come to that podium and you can speak. You can write a letter to the local newspaper. There's a lot of things you can do. You can stop any of us on the street and give us some ideas, you know. Let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong, you know. I have faith. I believe in this town. And again, vote June 28th. It's a Tuesday. Please come out to the polls. We also need housing in Southbridge, so let's get working on some housing too, because they're not going to come unless they have a nice place to live. We got 4 banks in this town. And I'm tired of them building branches in other towns. I want the four banks to get involved with building affordable housing here in Southbridge. If everybody in the hospital lived in Southbridge, and all these teachers we're hiring lived in Southbridge, and all our police and fire and everybody lived here, this would be a great town. We've all got to be here. We've all got to be community involved. Thank you.
Before I turn this back over to our MC, thank you very much for making my job easy.
Thank you very, very much, Victor, for your moderating. And wow, I just want to join the chorus of thank yous to thank all you candidates, and thank you guys from the cable TV for your donation of your time. And I do want to thank all who are listening and all who came here. I want to thank. My final thank you is really for the gang that worked together to do this. I thank Kevin Christo and Joe Marino, but I hang with those guys, so. But I must say thank you to Amelia Pellegrin and Jackie Ryan and Andrew Gullickson. And we had a great time, and it was very congenial and cooperative. And, you know, in a day, in a time when Democrats and Republicans seldom have anything to do with each other, we in Southbridge come together each year and present these informational debates, and I'm very proud of them. I really feel like it's a special thing that we do every year, and I'm glad we did it. So the election is 28th, as some of these fellows have mentioned. Get excited, get involved, support your candidates, join the Republican Town Committee, and if you're vacationing that week, don't forget to vote early. Amelia?
Do you want to introduce people to your next town committee meeting? Do you have a date?
Yeah, our next meeting is July 14.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bob. And just to reiterate, it was an honor to work with you and Joe and Kevin and the members of the Democratic Town Committee to set this up. We had so many great people working on this, from the cable access volunteers to all of the candidates who came this evening. I'm so thankful that you all chose to participate.
Thank you all very much.